Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you're here. If you're so inclined and you have the time, please hit that subscribe button down below. Everything tells us in analytics that most of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. It doesn't take but a second, and it really does help my videos be seen by more people. And hopefully you'll engage with the content. You'll feel more comfortable around the content, and you'll be notified when I release content and go live, which is one of the favorite things that I do on Friday nights and every now and then another night. But let's jump into it. And what I wanted to go into today and do a full, what I'd say, probably an 8-month overview. I would call it a review, but there are people that do much better reviews than me. This is just going to be my observations of the Am8 Flix. The Am8 Flix is a little bit tricky, just like the Am8 Gladiator, which you guys might have already seen the video on that, or it might be one that's coming up. But Am8, when you go to Miguron's website, you find Am8 Knives. Am8 Knives are Miguron knives, but it is an actual another brand that Miguron, I guess, is launching. Again, I don't know or understand really the marketing plan behind it or why they're doing it, but I can tell you that I've got two Am8 knives and I like them both very, very much. They were good values for one, and from my experience, which has been well over 6 months with this knife, now I've carried it quite a bit. You can see that it's got some snail trails. Couple of things that I'll just point out about this knife before we get started is Lefty, my brother from another mother, so affectionately referred to this knife as the fish stick. And I totally get it, because when I was a kid and when I was in college, I used to love some fish sticks, right? So when you look at the shape of this knife, look at that action. You look at the shape of the knife and you look at this texturing on this titanium bolster, it's kind of fish sticky looking, right? I don't really think so, but I want to give kudos to Lefty, because I do think of it now every time I open it, every time I put it in my pocket, as the fish stick knife. But guys, I can tell you, this is a great knife. It was a great value. You can go to Miguron's site, or you can go to the Googles and you can Google AM, like Alpha Mary 8, the number 8, Flix, and you can find this guy. It needs to be, let me get, it's a little bit off center there. T8 hardware, perfectly centered. Really nice shred carbon fiber over this titanium liner with a nice bolster lock. It has, for the reverse flick, this little notch cut out of the blade, but it's also a front flipper that I just missed. I gave it just that little tweak. It's still locked up tight, no left side to side. Very, very stable knife. But this knife is M390. It is a high, I guess you'd call it a satin blade with a stone washed fuller there. And then again, this side just has the Am8 logo on it. There is no other billboarding on this knife, which I really like. I like the fact that they don't put a lot of their information on the knives, right? We all know what they are when we buy them. It just has the blade steel here, M390, and then the Am8 maker's mark there. And again, titanium. It's got a blue titanium pivot collar with a little brass, doodad type flashy ring around it. I really wish it was just blue, like the clip side there. That brass pop doesn't do a lot for me, but I could take it or leave it. One thing you'll notice about the way that this frame lock's access is done, it is done very well. You can see that I've got a lot of room to get in there, to go right beside that side of the fuller, or that side of the scale to get in there, and this knife just drops shut. I'm horizontal, but if you'll see, you've also got some really light jimping there, so it pushes this bolster or this inset frame lock right out of the way. Let's see if I can get a couple of good drops for you on this. Because the action on this knife, and I want to say it was under $200, is just a fantastic knife. And I want to say I saw this on little brother Jared's Knives channel. I saw it somewhere that drew my attention to it, and I don't exactly remember where it was, but I want to say it might have been Jared's channel. I'll have to go back and see, but I think he saw this before me. Let me grab a piece of poo-poo digest paper and let's see if it cuts. I did put an edge on it, so it's a very good chance it might not cut. Plus, I'm not a very good paper cutter. I don't do a good job getting it started. But yeah, it's very slicey. It could probably use a little strop love. But that is the Am8 Flix. Did I say Flex? I meant Flix. Great knife. I think it's a really good looking knife, even though I've smutzed it all up. We're going to do a couple of quick size comparisons, get you guys a few measurements if you want to stick around, and then let you go on your way. I picked this guy up at Am8 Knives, so not only was it well under 200 bucks, I put in Lefty 10 or Tri-State. I can't remember whose code I used, but I definitely got 10% off, which is why I try to go to Am8 Knives first. Quick size comparisons to the Miguron that's not named Am8 Flix. Look at it next to the Cold Steel 4max. You will see that it is a full-size knife that has a very, very well-pronounced nice finger choil. I don't think I showed you guys that and how the grip and the ergos really feel great. You do not have any where you feel this clip, very, very little. It does not present a hot spot. What I do feel is this lock bar a little bit. Again, that very good access does make it a little bit noticeable unless I'm up here in the choil, whereas where I'm going to be anyway, so it's a non-issue. But let's go back to our size comparisons. You can see that it's smaller than the Cold Steel 4max, but it's not just totally tinier than the 4max. Whoops. It would help if I got these in frame for you guys. I apologize. And let's look at it next to the Civivi Baby Banter. It's much bigger than the Civivi Baby Banter. So let's see how this compares to the Benchmade Bug Out. Hopefully these sizes, these knives that I use for comparisons, guys, leave a comment if these are helpful or if these are not helpful in terms of determining the size of these knives. Because I don't do good with measurements, which I'm happy to give you. But they just never meant anything to me when I watch reviews. That's why when I started, I always said go to the manufacturer's website to get your specifications. But we all know that 50% of the manufacturer's websites get the specifications wrong. But that's another story. Maybe that's a rant video. But that is the Am8 Flix next to the Benchmade full-size Bug Out. And that is the Am8 Flix next to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, of which it is the same size as. When I say the same size as, it's the same overall length as. So I have a feeling we're going to have more cutting edge and possibly more blade length on our Miguron. So we're going to put the Spyderco away because we're not talking about that today. But our blade is 3.5 inches. Our cutting edge is 3.5 inches. Our handle is right at 4 3/4. So 4 3/4 plus 3.5. What's that? 8 1/4. I don't do math, guys. You'll have to do that in your head. So we've got 4 3/4 for the handle, and we have 3.5 for the blade. If we want to look at what we've got in usable hand space when we take that choil into consideration, we are just a sconch, like 1/8 of an inch under 5 inches. So it does give you a very nice sized handle to use there. I find it very comfortable. And again, the action on this knife's great. It doesn't have much of a pronounced front flipper. However, I can almost front flip it every time. I've never been good at the little trick there, but I can get it when I commit to it. I didn't lock it up there. That's why I just think front flippers suck. But this is one that actually does what it's supposed to do. It front flips as you need it to, as I make it look weak. But then for reverse flickers, it does have that little fuller, which you can get to. Keep your fingers on the lock bar. You're not putting any pressure on the lock bar because it is recessed. It is a bolster lock or a recessed lock bar. And it's just, for me, it's a joy to carry, a joy to fidget with. It's elegant. It's a good, more full-size gentleman's folder. And I really enjoy it, guys. If I had to recommend this knife to a friend, if it was in stock, if we could find it in stock, which it might be, need to check the Googles. I did not do that before this video, and I apologize. But if it is available, and I was in the market for a knife of about this size, kind of a elegant work knife, I would buy it. I would recommend it to friends and family, and I think it's a great knife. I would buy it again, and I'm very taken by Am8 Knives. I've gotten 2 now, and I keep an eye out for them. 2 have been released since I've gotten these 2 that I've not grabbed for one reason or another. I'm trying not to buy knives that don't really mean something to me, so I can buy fewer knives but better knives. So that's just kind of where I am in my journey. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time. Please, if you get the time and have the inclination, hit the subscribe button for me and hit the bell notification. It would be very helpful for me. And I promise to keep pumping out good content to give it value for you guys. Please look out for the guy or gal to your left. Please look out for the guy or gal to your right. Look out for one another. Keep loving your heart. Choose debate before hate. Until I see you guys next. Peace.